All right, we are live and the video is recording. Now, we have got ourselves a pretty wild case on our hands. But first things first, let's do a quick refresher before we dive in. As always, the interviews will be streamed live via the monitor that you're looking at right now. Once the interviews end, you'll be able to access all of the previous recordings on the playback monitor that's to your left. Now, keep in mind that you will be getting two different camera angles in your feed. Camera A and camera B. Feel free to switch between the two as you see fit. And last but not least, don't overlook the evidence available to you in the case files. I'm sure that you'll need to reference those at some point. Okay, so the case. We've got Daniel Murphy, age 49, works as a financial planner. He was shot and killed in his home with a .38 caliber handgun that's registered to him. Now, according to the medical examiner, he died on September 12th. The exact time of death is not able to be determined because the body wasn't found until a few days after. Now, there are a few people of interest in this case. First up is Emma Richardson. She's Daniel's girlfriend who had also been living with him. Prior to Daniel's death, she had reported an incident of physical abuse that resulted in her right elbow being dislocated. The injury is verified. However, Daniel did deny all allegations regarding the abuse. Now, at first I was ready to remove her as a potential suspect due to the elbow injury, which would obviously make it pretty damn hard for her to fire a weapon. But as it turns out, she is actually left-handed, which means that she absolutely could have pulled that trigger. Now, next up is her ex-husband, Charles Humphreys. There's nothing really notable regarding Charles's past, but he was seen entering Daniel's house the day of the murder. So, needless to say, he is definitely a person of interest. Now, I was also able to bring Charles and Emma's daughter, Rebecca, down to the station today. Now, there's nothing that really points to her being a suspect at this point in time, but she did live with her mom and Daniel, and she was aware of the abuse that her mom had reported. Now, last on our list is Daniel and Emma's neighbor, Janice Burks. Janice served 9 years in prison for killing her husband, who had a very long history of domestic violence. Now, the main reason that I brought her down here today is that she was also seen entering Daniel's house the day of the murder. So yeah, that's two people that were seen entering Daniel's house the day that he was killed. All right, now that is the basic overview. Okay, you can dive in deeper with the case files or some of the security cam footage that we also subpoenaed. That footage is already loaded up for you on the playback monitor. All right, now let's figure out what the hell happened here. All right, I'm going to bring Emma in here first. Let's see what she has to say. All right, we'll see you in a few.
Hey, asshole! Here you like to hit women, huh?
What are you talking about?
Oh, no,
Get your hands off me!
I know what you did, Emma!
Look, I don't know what she told you, but I didn't lay a finger on her.
Oh, shut up and cut that shit! I know you did. If you ever do that again, I will kill you. I will fucking kill you. Do you understand me?
Man.
No, whatever! I will hit you! You got that? I will fucking hit you! You want to hit somebody? Hit me! Come on, hit me! That's what I thought, tough guy. Piece of shit.
about you. Are you leaving him? Are you all right?
We can talk later. I gotta go.
Are you sure to take me now? Just have
Look, I said we can talk later. I gotta go.
Okay, I got you. You go ahead, I'll get the suitcase.
Okay.
All right, Emma, we are recording. Today is September 19th. I am Detective Martin Ruiz, badge number 7621, and with me here today is Emma Richardson. So Emma, can you please go ahead and spell your first and last name for me?
EMMARICHARDSON.
Thank you. And can you please acknowledge that this statement is being video and audio recorded and that you are consenting to this recording?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, and lastly, I just need you to acknowledge that we've already gone over your rights and that you are willfully making this statement.
Yes, that's also correct.
All right, thank you, Emma. So, yeah, let's just keep it simple and start with you telling me where you were the day of Daniel's death.
I was staying at a motel.
And which motel would that be?
The Best Stay Motel on the southeast part of town.
Now, is there a reason that you didn't go to work that day?
I wasn't feeling well, so I decided to take a sick day.
And you work at Rose and Davis Financial Services, right?
Yes, I'm a junior account executive.
And Daniel, he works there as well, is that also correct?
Yes, actually, he's the one who got me the job there.
And the two of you were romantic partners, is that right?
Yes.
Now, do you mind maybe elaborating a little bit more on this relationship that you two had?
Sure. What exactly would you like to know?
Well, I guess we can start with the police report that you had filed on September 10th. Now, based on what I read, it seemed that this relationship that you two had was not that pleasant, was it?
No, but at least not lately anyway.
Now, you claimed that he had grabbed you pretty forcefully, too. I mean, so much so that he dislocated your right elbow. Is that right?
Yeah, but I don't want you to think that was a norm or anything.
So that's not his normal behavior.
No, it wasn't. We had been together for 6 months at least, and I moved in with him about a month ago. He had never once laid a finger on me the entire time or shown any warning signs.
So then what exactly happened on that day? I mean, why did he have this sudden change in behavior?
He was jealous of a client of ours that we met for dinner.
And who was the client?
Just a prospective client. His name was Jason Anderson.
Jason Anderson. All right, and what exactly happened with Jason?
Well, Daniel had to take a call, so he stepped outside. He was out there a good amount of time, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And during that time, Jason and I started talking. I mean, he talked a lot and he was pretty funny. So we talked and had a laugh. That was all. Then when Daniel returned, I think he had the wrong impression. I mean, on the ride home, he kept questioning me about what we were talking about. He wanted to know why we were so happy, and he wanted to know if I found Jason attractive. He even accused me of flirting with some guys in the office from before. Honestly, I have no idea what he was talking about.
So has Daniel showed signs of jealousy like this in the past?
No, but I mean, there was never a situation like this before anyway.
You can continue.
Well, when we got home, he didn't seem to calm down at all. We were in the kitchen at the time, and he accused me of lying, and he said he didn't believe anything I had told him. I tried to de-escalate the situation by leaving, but then he blocked me with his body and backed me into a corner. And he grabbed me by the shoulders and forced me to tell him the truth. But what was I supposed to say? I already told him the truth. So then I pushed him off of me. And that's when he yanked me really hard by the arm and threw me to the floor. Oh my God, it hurt like hell. And then when I was on the ground, he kept yelling and screaming at me over and over. I mean, I can't even remember what he was saying.
Was he drinking that night?
No, the man hardly ever drank at all. I mean, I can't even remember the last time he had a drink.
Now, according to the police report, your daughter, Rebecca, she was there when this had all happened. Is that right?
Yes, she was upstairs in her room at the time, and she heard the arguing, so she came down to the kitchen to see what had happened. I mean, she asked me what happened, and I told her we had been in an argument. Then she asked me what I was doing on the floor, and I told her I had accidentally fallen.
So why did you lie to her?
I don't know. I was scared. I mean, it all happened so quickly. I couldn't even think straight.
And what happened after that?
Well, Daniel could see that I was really hurt, so he picked me up off the ground and took me to the hospital. On the ride there, he kept telling me how sorry he was, and he just kept apologizing over and over. He said he didn't know what got into him.
And you believed him?
Yes, I did.
Really?
It was a one-time thing. It was completely out of character. I didn't know what got into him. So yes, I did believe him.
All right, and what happened after that?
Well, he took me to the hospital and we checked in, and that's when I learned that my elbow was dislocated. Then Daniel left and Rebecca came to stay with me overnight. And then the next morning I had time to clear my mind, and I told Rebecca exactly what happened.
So you told her that he had actually hurt you?
Yeah, she wanted me to press charges with the police. But honestly, I was hesitant. I didn't want it to turn into a big thing.
But this was a big thing, was it not?
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, it was a big enough deal that you felt the need to file a police report, right?
But that was Rebecca's idea. So, but yes, I was released from the hospital. We stopped and got some pain medication for my arm. And then we went to the police and filed a report. Then we went to the motel, I checked in, and Rebecca left to stay with her dad.
And her dad, that's Charles, right?
Yes, Charles.
So was Charles aware of the assault that had happened?
Yes, I told him that night.
Was anyone else besides Charles and your daughter Rebecca aware of the assault?
And the only other person was my neighbor, Janice. She must have heard the screaming because she texted to see if everything was okay. I wrote her back that same night and told her exactly what happened.
Now, are you and your neighbor really close? Because, and this could just be a me thing, but that seems kind of a strange thing to tell a neighbor.
Sure, somewhat, I guess. I mean, we look out for each other, as neighbors are supposed to.
Now, I'm wondering, do you think that maybe one of those three would have a reason to kill Daniel? I mean, considering they now know how abusive he can be, I mean, maybe that was enough to push them over, the limit to maybe take matters into their own hands?
Absolutely not.
But what about you? Was that enough of a reason for you to kill Daniel? Maybe make sure that he never lays a finger on you again?
Absolutely not, no. Like I said, it was a one-time thing. It wasn't that severe.
Wasn't that severe? Emma, I'm staring at you and you have a dislocated elbow. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, that is pretty damn severe.
Look, the guy got jealous, okay? I mean, he'd been under a lot of pressure at work and he was in a shitty mood. He made a really poor decision that he immediately regretted. Is it okay that he hurt my arm? Of course not. But we can't change the past. And I do believe he was truly sorry.
Okay. Fair enough. So Emma, is there anything else that you feel that I should know about this whole situation?
None that I can think of.
All right. We're going to take a little break. Just ask that you just hang here for a bit, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, you saw the interview. You think she's being completely honest? I really can't say for sure. What I want to know from you is if you think she's telling the truth about how severe the abuse was. And I'm talking both physical and verbal. That's a major piece of this whole thing. Whether she's being honest or not will give us a decent idea on how to move forward with this investigation. So let's make sure we really judge this correctly. The right approach should get her to open up a bit more. I'll trust your judgment with that. You tell me, and that's how I'll proceed with her. No rush. Look over whatever you need to and call me back. All right, talk soon. Hey. Okay, yeah, I'm with you. It definitely feels like she's downplaying the abuse. The question is why. I'll push her on that. Let's see if we can squeeze more out of her. All right, give me a second. We'll get things back up and running. This is a continuation with Emma Richardson. Now, Emma, I gotta say, I don't think that you were telling me the whole truth. I don't.
About what?
Well, about your relationship with Daniel, but more importantly, about the abuse you experienced, Emma. I mean, look, you have a dislocated elbow. The guy put you in the hospital, and for what? Because he was jealous? Come on, Emma. You know that is not normal behavior. It's not. All right, that is pretty damn severe. Now, what I'm trying to wrap my head around is, why are you covering for this guy? Why are you downplaying everything that happened to you? Look, Emma, it is okay. Right? It is okay to talk to me. It is okay to tell me the truth. In fact, that is the easiest thing to do right now. So please, Emma, just tell me the truth.
Okay. It was severe, okay? It was very severe. You know, I thought I knew him. I was falling for him. I thought he was perfect. But looking back, I can see that the signs were there all along. I was just blinded by wanting to move on and find a new partner. But, you know, when he showed his true colors, not only did he hurt me, but he threatened to kill me and my daughter at gunpoint. Okay? At goddamn gunpoint.
Wait, I'm sorry. When did that happen?
The day after I got out of the hospital. I think it was a Monday.
Okay, can you tell me exactly what happened?
I stopped by the house that afternoon to pick up some of my stuff. I knew he'd be at work, so it was a good time to go. I was there maybe 5 minutes, and that's when he showed up. I was in the middle of packing, and he could clearly see that I was leaving. This must have really pissed him off, because he immediately went to the bedroom closet and grabbed a gun. I mean, I was in shock. I didn't even know he had a gun. And then he threw me on the ground and pressed the gun really hard against my forehead. He kept yelling that the police were questioning him at work. Apparently, after I filed the reports, some cops were questioning people. They even questioned some of my neighbors, including Janice. Apparently, the higher-ups at work were really alarmed by all this, because they put him on immediate leave until this all got sorted out. That's why he got home early that day. This must have been really embarrassing for him, because he was really angry. He kept yelling that Rebecca and I needed to recant our story and to tell the cops that he never hurt me. I mean, he kept saying that he was acting in self-defense and that I pushed him. He was literally trying to make it seem like it was my fault. And then he made it a point to tell me that he was in control of my life. My job, my home, everything. And that he could take that away anytime he wanted. So then he told me that if we didn't tell the police his version of what happened, that he wouldn't think twice about putting a bullet in each of our heads.
Wow. So, Emma, why did you lie to me?
Because I thought you would see this as a clear motive for killing him, that's why.
And I get that. I get that. But, okay, but why in the situation that happened, why not in that moment? Why didn't you immediately go to the police? I mean, heck, you could have even filed a restraining order against him, Emma.
Because they didn't do shit the first time, that's why. I had already told them that he had physically assaulted me. I was literally in the hospital because of him. But did they protect me? Huh? Did they? I can answer that for you, detective. No, they didn't protect me. In fact, that son of a bitch threatened to kill me even after I went to them. So no, I didn't think it mattered. So don't get me started about a restraining order. You think a restraining order, some just like little piece of paper, would stop someone like him? Someone who had threatened to kill me? Give me a break.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. So tell me what happened after he had threatened you.
He left. And I immediately gathered all my stuff and I left too.
Now there's a flaw here though, right? I mean, there should be security cam footage of Daniel coming in the house and leaving the house, right? During that time. I mean, we have footage of you, and we got footage of you and Janice, but we literally have absolutely no footage of Daniel during that time at all.
That's because he came in through the back. He didn't use the front door. It was like he was trying to catch me off guard or something.
And I'm going to assume that because you guys don't have a security camera in the back, then that means there's no record whatsoever of him coming in or out of the house. Does that sound right?
Correct.
Now, I'm also wondering, do you know why there would be no security cam footage from September 9th? I mean, the entire day, there's no footage. Now, that's the day that he assaulted you for the first time. Do you know why there would be no footage on that day?
I don't know. Maybe he deleted it.
That is certainly a possibility. All right. Well, look, Emma, assuming that everything you told me is the truth, right? I want you to know that everything, and I mean everything that has happened to you, none of that is your fault.
I know.
Good. And there is help if you need it, Emma, all right? There's shelters that I can connect you with if you don't want to stay at that motel. There are people that you can talk to. All right, we've got a lot of resources, Emma. All right, you do not have to go this alone.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Emma, let's give you a break, okay? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was a lot. If she's telling the truth, Daniel's got some pretty serious issues. It is weird that he would go through the back, though. I mean, it's possible, but considering how in the moment he probably was, it does strike me as odd. I don't know. There's a lot to process here. All right, we got to keep these interviews going. Let's see what more we can uncover here. I got her ex-husband, Charles, up next. Let's see what this guy's got to say. Hang tight. Bye. All right, Charles, we are recording. Today is September 19th. I am Detective Martin Ruiz, badge number 7621. And with me here is Charles Humphreys. So, Charles, we'll just start with you spelling your first and last name for me.
Okay. CharlesHumphies.
And can you please acknowledge that this statement is being video and audio recorded and that you are consenting to this recording?
Yes, I do.
And lastly, if you can please acknowledge that we have already gone over your rights and that you are willfully making this statement.
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you, Charles. So, Charles, let's just start with you telling me, why were you seen entering Daniel's house the day of his death?
Well, I was doing a favor for Emma, right? I went there to pick up some items that she had forgotten, right? She didn't want to enter that house again, so I went there for her.
And what sort of items were you picking up?
It was like some clothing and other personal items, right? I didn't sort through the bag, so I'm not 100% sure what may have been in it.
So you said the bag. So you were there to pick up a bag of hers, is that right?
Correct, right. She put it by the front door in the entryway. I walked in, I grabbed the bag, and I left.
And Charles, you're a realtor, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So that means you get to pretty much set your own hours, right?
To an extent, sure.
Now, you didn't have any appointments or any meetings that morning?
That is correct.
So, did you see Daniel when you went inside the house?
No, I didn't. I didn't see his car in the driveway either, so I just assumed he wasn't home. But look, I didn't even go in the house. I just went in the entryway, I grabbed Emma's bag, and I left. That's it.
Now, are you aware that Daniel had been killed on that day and that his body was found inside that house?
I'm aware of it now, but at the time, no. I wasn't aware of it at the time.
So what do you know about Daniel's death?
I know that he was apparently shot and killed. I'm also aware it possibly could have been a suicide, that he took his own life.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that he took his own life?
Certainly seems like a possibility, yeah.
So how well did you actually know Daniel?
Not well at all. I mean, I mostly knew about him through Rebecca. Right? I only personally met him a few times. A few times that I did meet him in person, I mean, he seemed like a pretty cool guy, right? He was friendly and upbeat, you know, just a good all-around guy. It wasn't until much later that I learned about him abusing Emma. I need to say that changed my opinion of him real quick.
Yeah, I could imagine. So tell me about Emma. What is your relationship like with Emma?
Emma and I are on pretty good terms, all things considered. Right? Like, we were married for almost 20 years. You know, we had Rebecca. Everything was going really well. But, I mean, slowly things just didn't work out like we had hoped. So we got divorced about 2 years ago. I mean, it wasn't an ugly divorce or anything like that. But we both agreed that it wasn't working out. So we decided to call it quits. Right? And here we are.
So do you still stay in touch with her?
It's not like we're best friends or anything like that, but we have a daughter together. So, yeah, we are in touch from time to time.
And do you still care for her?
Not in a romantic way, no, but as a person and the mother of my child, yes, I absolutely do care about her.
So would you be willing to do anything for her?
What, like murder?
Yes, Charles, like murder.
No, of course not. Look, I would be willing to do almost anything for her because I still care about her. But murder, no, absolutely not.
So you're telling me that you did not kill Daniel when you went inside that house?
No, of course not. Look, I told you I didn't even see the guy, but if I did, I'm not going to kill him.
So what about Emma? You think that maybe Emma killed Daniel? I mean, she's got more reasons to kill him than anyone else.
No, Emma didn't kill Daniel. That's ridiculous.
And how can you be so sure about that?
Because she's not a killer. She's like the sweetest person I know.
Well, what if she maybe hired someone or got some help? You don't think that that's possible?
No, I don't think that's possible.
Well, look, Charles, the reality is that somebody killed Daniel, okay? That is a fact. Now, we know that Emma has been on the receiving end of his abuse. All right? Now, that has got to be scary as hell for her. Okay, now, Charles, I'm not saying that Emma killed Daniel, okay? But, Charles, we at least have to entertain the idea that maybe she wanted him dead. Now, I don't think that that's far-fetched at all. Hell, Charles, I have seen people killed for far less. All right, so you don't think that Emma maybe just wanted him dead? You don't think that that's possible?
Look, I have no doubts that she wanted this man out of her life. That's obvious. But to think Emma would wish death upon him or anybody else for that matter? No, I don't believe that. I do not believe that she wanted him dead. No.
You really don't?
No, I really don't.
All right, Charles, we're going to take a short break, all right? Just ask that you sit here for a bit and I'll be right back, all right?
Yeah, no worries.
All right, we got to hear his take on things. Now, the main thing I'm questioning at the moment is whether or not Emma is capable of either committing this murder or getting someone else to do it. She really does seem like the person that has the most to gain from Daniel's death. But her ex, he doesn't seem to think that she has that in her. I don't know. You think Charles is telling the truth? You think he really believes that Emma is incapable of going through with murder? Does he really believe that she had absolutely nothing to do with this? Again, we got to be careful with how we judge this. Pushing him in the wrong direction may not get us the info we need. I want to know what you think. I'll proceed based on that. So just give me a call when you know, and we'll go from there. All right? Bye. Hey. Yeah, I gotta say, I agree with you on this one. He does seem pretty sincere. All right, I'll continue the interview. We'll be back up in just a sec. This is a continuation with Charles Humphreys. So, Charles, I do think that you're being honest about Emma, all right? You really don't think she had anything to do with this, and I do believe you.
Well, that's good because that's honestly how I feel. And like I said before, she is not the kind of person to wish death upon anybody. She is by far the most caring person I've ever met.
So, Charles, I hear you, okay? But since you didn't kill Daniel, and if Emma had nothing to do with this, well then, that means there must be somebody else, right? So, do you think that maybe Rebecca may have had some...
No, of course not. This has absolutely nothing to do with Rebecca.
Okay. Well then I guess that puts us back to square one then, doesn't it?
I guess so.
All right, well, Charles, that'll do for now, all right? Let's get you out of here for a bit.
Okay.
All right, that was pretty straightforward, I guess. You know, I didn't want to bring up the neighbor Janice as a suspect to him quite yet. I want to hear from Janice first. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll go get her and we'll get the next round going. Okay, bye. All right, Janice, we are recording. Today is September 19th. I am Detective Martin Ruiz, badge number 7621. And with me here today is Janice Burks. So Janice, let's please start with you spelling your first and last name for me.
JANICEBURKES.
And can you please acknowledge that this statement is being video and audio recorded and that you are consenting to that recording?
Yes, sir. I do consent.
And lastly, please acknowledge that we have already gone over your rights and that you are willfully making this statement.
Yes, sir. We've already gone over my rights.
Well, thank you, Janice. So let's just start with a little bit of context here. Now, you live next door to Daniel Murphy and his girlfriend, Emma Richardson. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And about how long have you lived at that residence?
Oh, I've lived there about 1.5 years, sir.
And prior to that, you had spent some time in prison. Is that right?
Yes, sir. 9 years.
And that was for murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
You mind telling me what happened?
Well, it's not a very complicated story. My husband at the time was very violent, very physical with me, and it had been going on a lot longer than I care to admit. One night, he beat me up pretty bad. Seemed like he was never going to stop. So, I stopped him. That's it.
And how is life treating you these days?
I can't complain, sir. I'm alive. I'm healthy. I got a steady job. Just trying to live life right. God's been good to me.
That's good. That's real good. So what is it that you do for work?
I work collections. I call people who owe money on behalf of various different companies.
And you do this from home?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Now, I don't mean to be rude or judgmental or anything like that, but I'm curious, how is it that you landed in that particular neighborhood? Because it seems like it would be a bit too pricey for someone with a job such as yours. Now, that is assuming that you do live alone.
Oh, yes, sir. I do live alone. That house belonged to my mother. She bought it about 20 years ago. She paid it off early. And when she died about 10 months ago, she left it to me.
Well, thank you for that explanation. That certainly makes sense. Now, I am curious, how well did you know Daniel and Emma?
Oh, I know Emma pretty well. Daniel, not so much. When I moved in about 1.5 years ago, Daniel had already been living there. They're pretty good neighbors. They're quiet. They stick to themselves. No parties or anything like that. I can't remember them ever having anyone over, in fact. Rebecca, their daughter, lives with them. She's pretty quiet too. She sticks to herself. But honestly, in general, the whole neighborhood's pretty quiet, so they're no exception.
So why is it that you got to know Emma more than Daniel?
Well, it seems like Daniel works very long hours, but Emma works 9 to 5, so I see her from time to time when I went on my usual walks, and we'd stop and chat for a bit. She was one of the few people in the neighborhood who didn't look at me funny, you know? I mean, it's a small town, word gets around fast, and I'm pretty sure most of my neighbors knew about my past. They were scared, they kept their distance, but Emma, she treated me like a normal person, and I really appreciated that. And I always felt like I should kind of look out for her too, I guess.
Now, what about Charles? What do you know about him?
Well, who's Charles?
So Charles, that's Charles Humphreys. That is Emma's ex-husband.
Oh, that's right. I don't know much about him. I didn't ever meet him, and I don't remember Emma ever really talking about him. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I don't know much about him.
So, given your relationship with Emma, I am assuming that you have a good explanation as to why you were seen entering and leaving their house the day that Daniel was killed.
Oh, yes, I do. The mail carrier had accidentally left some of their mail in my mailbox that day. We've had some trouble with porch pirates recently, so I thought I should just take it over. I didn't want to leave it on their doorstep or anything, so Emma had told me about the spare key to use in case of emergencies or whatever, so I just used the spare key. I opened the door, I dropped the mail off in the entryway, and I left.
Now, was Daniel home?
Oh, not to my knowledge. I mean, his car wasn't in the driveway. That's him in the house either.
Now, Janice, are you aware that Daniel had been shot and killed and that his body was found in that house?
Yes, officer. I was aware of that. The whole neighborhood was aware of that.
And so you didn't see him or his dead body when you went into that house to drop off that mail?
Oh, no. I mean, like I said, I just went in, dropped the mail off in the entryway, and then I left.
Janice, did you really go into that house to drop off mail?
Yes, officer, I really went into that house to drop off mail.
All right. Well, look, Janice, we are going to take a real short break. I ask that you just sit here for a second. I will be right back, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, we've met the neighbor. I'm curious to know what you think about this Janice lady. You buy that story that she entered the house to drop off some mail? Let me know if you think she's lying, and I'll continue based on that. All right, talk soon. Hey, so you don't buy that story, huh? Well, me neither. It's a bit too perfect. And, after reviewing that security footage again, her actions don't seem to match up at all. Let's see if we can find out the real reason she entered that house. I'll get the interviews back up in just a few. This is a continuation with Janice Burks. Now, Janice, according to you, the mail carrier had dropped off their mail at your mailbox by accident, right? And then you, I guess being the good Samaritan that you are, decided to bypass these potential porch pirates. So you then took that mail and you brought it directly into their home. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So Janice, what kind of mail was this?
If I remember correctly, it was just a few envelopes, I believe.
So just a few envelopes. So why the urgency to drop off just a few envelopes? You couldn't wait until they got home?
I guess I could have. I didn't really give it that much thought. I just saw that I had their mail and I thought I'd bring it over to them, that's all.
Janice, you are lying to me.
What do you mean, sir?
I mean that there is absolutely nothing that supports your statement whatsoever. Look, you having their mail is no reason to go inside of their home. You could have simply just held on to their mail, Janice. And please don't tell me that you were concerned with porch pirates, because porch pirates are looking for packages, okay? Things that have actual value. They're not just looking for regular mail. Now, Janice, if you're going to lie to me, come up with something like I don't know, like there was a check in the mail or something like that, because then it would be a little bit more believable. Now, Janice, you are still on probation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you think that lying to a detective who is trying to solve a murder case, do you think that is going to be helpful? Look, Janice, that is considered obstruction of justice, okay? Now, you are not a stupid person, okay? You're not. So we are going to try this again. Why were you seen entering their house the day that Daniel was killed?
All right. I heard a gunshot. I rushed over there to see if everything was okay. And when I entered the home, I looked around. That's when I saw Daniel lying there dead in the bedroom. I didn't know what to think, so I panicked and I just left.
So Janice, why did you lie about that?
Come on, sir. I went to prison for 9 years for killing my abusive husband. Then I'm seen leaving and entering a home where a man is killed. A man who is known to have physically abused his girlfriend. How do you think that looks?
Well, not very good, to be honest.
Not very good at all.
All right, so just to make sure that I get this right, so you heard a gunshot, you go enter the house, you see Daniel and he's dead, and you lie to protect yourself. Is that basically it?
Yeah, that's it.
So you're telling me that you did not kill Daniel?
I did not kill Daniel.
So Daniel was already killed when you had entered that house?
Yes.
And Janice, why should I believe you?
Because it's the truth.
The truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, we are going to put a pause on this for now, okay, Janice? Well, that interview certainly adds a new dimension to this whole thing. That is, of course, if Janice is being honest about finding Daniel dead. I honestly don't know. At this point, who knows? All right, I'm going to bring in Rebecca Humphreys, Emma and Charles's kid. Let's see if she can shed any more light on this case. All right, let me go get her. We'll be back up in just a sec. All right, bye. All right, Rebecca, we are recording. Today is September 19th. I am Detective Martin Ruiz, badge number 7621. And with me here today is Rebecca Humphreys. So, Rebecca, can you please spell your first and last name for me?
Yeah, first name is Rebecca. Last name Humphreys, Humpries.
Thank you, and can you please acknowledge that this statement is being video and audio recorded and that you consent to this recording?
Yes, I do.
And lastly, just acknowledge that we have already gone over your rights and that you are willfully making this statement.
Yes, I am.
All right, Rebecca, let's start with you telling me where you were at the day of Daniel's death.
Yeah, so that day I was over at my dad's house.
So you were at your dad's house, but you don't live with your dad, do you?
No, I don't, but I do stay with him sometimes.
And you were there the whole day?
Yeah, I don't really remember any reason to leave that day.
So can you remind me, how old are you?
I'm 20.
So you're 20.
Mm-hmm.
And you are a student at Fisham Community College, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So you didn't have any classes that day?
Well, I mean, yeah, I did. But I had a very important paper that was due for my intro to psych class the next day. So I decided to stay home and focus on that instead, since my other classes weren't important.
Now, your dad, he wasn't at home, right? He was at work?
Yeah, that's right. He usually doesn't get home until late in the evening.
So is there anyone that can corroborate that you were at your dad's house the whole day?
I mean, like, sort of. I work at the main coffee shop at the school, and I had texted one of my coworkers asking if he could cover my shift for that day.
So you didn't go to work that day either?
No, I didn't. Like I said, I wanted to focus on my paper.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and please be honest, okay? Please. Do you think that either of your parents had something to do with Daniel's murder?
No, of course not.
Now, I'm not asking you if they killed him, just if they may have possibly had some involvement. Now, based on the history, you don't think that that's possible?
No, absolutely not. Like, no, I know my parents. It's not possible.
Okay. So how long have you been living with Daniel and your mom?
We officially moved in like about a month ago or so, but my mom had practically been like living over there like 3 or 4 months before that.
And you were aware that there had been some domestic issues during that time between Daniel and your mom, correct?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
Well, first off, I want to like make sure that you know that the domestic issues, as you put it, weren't happening the whole time that I've been living there. It was kind of all recent, actually.
Sure. Gotcha. So yeah, please continue.
So, like, it's pretty straightforward, but I want to say, like, about a week and a half ago, I was in my room reading, and I heard some screaming and yelling and banging, and I went down to the kitchen, and I found my mom on the floor crying, and she was just obviously, like, in a lot of pain. And she was grabbing her right arm, and just her and Daniel had gotten into some sort of an argument, and he pushed her to the ground, like, pretty damn hard.
So did you see him push her to the ground?
No, I didn't, but it was pretty obvious that that's what had happened.
Now, is this the only incident that you were aware of?
As far as I know, yeah. That's as far as I'm aware.
Now, this incident landed your mom in the hospital. I mean, she has a dislocated elbow.
Yeah, I know, I'm aware. I know.
You don't think that maybe your mom would want to seek some sort of revenge?
No, my mom wouldn't seek revenge. Like, you do know that she's the one who filed the police report, right?
Yes, I am aware of that.
Okay, so why would she file a police report if she was planning on killing him? Like, she wanted the police to get involved. That's literally the whole reason why she went to the police in the first place. She wanted them to deal with it.
All right, well, then what about your dad?
What about him?
Well, it seems that he and your mom are still on pretty decent terms. I mean, all things considered. It seems that he still cares for her. You don't think that maybe he acted out of a need to protect her?
No, absolutely not.
How can you be so sure?
Because I know my dad, like, that's not even close to the kind of person that he is. Like, he's not a murderer. Like, I don't even, like, I can't believe I even have to, like, say that to you.
Look, Rebecca, I know that this can be hard. Okay, I know that, but we have to think logically, right? Now, try to put your personal feelings aside as best as you can, all right? Now, do you really believe that your parents had nothing to do with Daniel's murder?
No, my parents had nothing to do with Daniel's murder. There's no way.
All right, fair enough. So look, we're going to take a short break, all right? Just going to ask that you sit here, and I'll be back in just a few, okay?
Okay.
All right, so there's still a lot to unpack here. But the main thing I really want to know right now is if you think she really believes her parents had nothing to do with Daniel's death. I mean, I know they're her parents and all, but the motivation is pretty easy to spot, especially when it comes to her mom. I just can't tell if she's being honest or if she's blowing smoke up our ass. Look it over and tell me what your read is on her. Let me know if you think she really believes they had nothing to do with it. We'll go from there. All right. Bye. Hey, so you think she's being sincere? I can see that. She does seem to believe her parents weren't involved. Now, whether they were or not, that's a whole other story. All right, let me get back in there. Bye. Okay, this is a continuation with Rebecca Humphreys. So look, Rebecca, I do believe that you think your parents had nothing to do with Daniel's murder, okay? I do believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But look, we still cannot ignore the facts, okay? We can't. Now, are you aware that your dad was seen entering and leaving Daniel's house the day of the murder?
No, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that fact, no.
Yeah, the whole thing was caught on security cam.
Mm-hmm.
So now with this new information, does that change your perspective at all?
No, not at all. I mean, if my dad was seen entering the house that day, then I'm sure he has a perfectly good reason for it, but murder's definitely not the reason. It doesn't make any sense. It can't be.
All right, so Rebecca, look, so if your parents were not involved and you were at your dad's house the whole day, then you tell me, what is your theory on what happened to Daniel?
Look, I don't know. I don't know, okay? I really don't. What I do know is that Daniel wasn't this perfect guy that everybody seems to think that he was. I mean, he had two personalities. Sure, everybody saw the clean-cut business guy, but behind closed doors, it was a completely different story.
What do you mean?
I mean, he was mentally unstable, okay? He could be a real piece of shit, especially when he was drinking. Probably got really drunk, got all depressed, and then just shot himself. I mean, I could see that happening. Have you guys ever considered that maybe nobody actually killed Daniel?
Yes, Rebecca, of course we've considered that. We've considered all possibilities.
Okay, then, I really don't know what to tell you, because that's all I can think of. I don't know.
So there's nothing else that you feel that I should know?
No, not that I can think of, no.
All right, well then let's take a break. All right, you can step out of here for now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we've heard from everyone that we brought here today. There's still lots of things that aren't adding up or that simply don't make any sense at all. And, most importantly, we still don't know exactly what happened to Daniel. I think it's time we turned up the heat. Start poking some holes. I'm going to get Emma back in here first for another round. Let's see what we can squeeze out of her. I'll be back in the interview room with her in just a sec. All right.